I prepared a presentation about some of my work with color. I'll start with a project that we're showing as part of the group exhibition called Ultraviolet, and then I'll give a little bit more context of my color explorations. So the piece that is shown here, it's called Ultraviolet. It was a collaboration with a musician, Michael Pizarro. As we were kind of working on a project together in New York for Friedman Gallery, he suggested about doing something together. And the concept was very interesting because in the human spectrum, there is only part of it, part of the color visibility. And from one side you have the ultraviolet that is not noticeable by human eye, and the other side is infrared. So something that I wanted to focus on is the process of seeing. And at the time I was spending a lot of my time in upstate New York, which of course is connected to the Hudson Landscape School. So I was filming a lot of the footage of landscape, mountains, waterfalls. But something that I was also introducing is the kind of the abstract signal of the video, which breaks into the image and therefore deconstructs how we see, and it interrupts our viewing of the landscape. The way how we work with Michael Pizarro was after I did a kind of a rough cut and sent it to him, he kind of worked on the soundtrack and sent me some of his experiments. So kind of as we're developing it, it was a kind of a pre-COVID way to work via Zoom. And the first presentation was in New York in Friedman Gallery, and then the video was shown quite a bit from Moscow to Barcelona and to Los Angeles. And as we're speaking with the curator of the exhibition, Diane, she thought it was interesting to introduce not just a painterly approach to color, but also audiovisual. Something that I will talk about right now and show some of the slides is my interest, how I kind of got to work with color studies, and in particular school of Mikhail Matyushin, who was an artist and a professor in Vchutein, which was Soviet Bauhaus equivalent. Vchutein was based in St. Petersburg. It was kind of like a branch of the bigger school with its center in Moscow, where Malevich, Rodchenko, and all of the first wave of Russian avant-garde were teaching. For the exhibition in Canada in 2018 in Southern Alberta Art Gallery, I decided to look really closely at the curriculum of Vchutemas, and basically I decided to follow each of the assignments from different departments, and a big part of my exploration was really looking at the Matyushin experiments and trying to adapt it to my practice and to really follow his writings. Here you see some of the charts. The interesting thing that Matyushin was talking about was expanded vision. So it's not only how the color kind of works on its own, but also how it works with a larger environment with kind of like an expanded field. As a result of this was a series of works. In Southern Alberta Art Gallery, I did a mural that was really kind of activating his writings. And later on, it developed into a series of exhibitions, mostly in New York. This was one of the early works where I focused on the interactions of colors. but also preparing the materials. I worked kind of quite a bit with the materials from Kremer Pigments, which has a store in New York, and basically all the elements from the paints to the gesso to the boards were prepared in my studio. Also, I decided to kind of expand this color studies into the sculptural work. So here you see some of the sculptural columns that I developed. And on this slide you see an exhibition at Hellwasser Gallery, where the color became kind of a, kind of a volumetric object as a column. Also, I introduced paintings onto the walls. So how my paintings were shown were already in the environment. So kind of following the experiments of the kind of constructivist theoreticians. This is a recent exhibition. It's a series of paintings that I developed during the COVID, which was based on the kind of architectural studies of the building that I live in New York. It's 1960s brutalist towers. So by spending a lot of time at home, I was able to kind of look at the fragmentation, view out of the window, view from my balcony. As a next step of working with color and working with kind of synthesis of different mediums, this is a sculptural project that was commissioned by US Embassy for their Moscow location. So the piece is called Stargazer Orion, and what I worked with here is sculpture as a framing device, kind of where the pedestal works as a stellar map, and the color stripes in different sizes of the sculpture kind of directs your eye kind of as it interacts with the surrounding area. This is a piece that's in the works right now. It's also based on the color studies, but it's a kinetic sculpture where some of the elements of the sculpture are rotating, creating the color aura. So hopefully it will be realized in the upcoming year. Some of the projects that I'm working on right now, I'm doing an art fellowship in Dresden, which has a fantastic color archive, as well as mathematical model archive. So over the summer I was able to get access to different pigments, different dyes, and on the right there's a photo of Kupfer archive, somebody who was working in the 70s and 80s in Germany, and there was a lot of discovery that I'm kind of trying to incorporate into my new body of work. This is some of the color models that the archive has. And the recent study for the exhibition that's opening in 2 weeks in Dresden, it's a new series of algorithm-based paintings, kind of using the research that kind of I was doing in Technical University in Dresden, but the composition are developed by the algorithm. So kind of working with a kind of tradition of synthesis of technology and art. Here it becomes kind of like a meditation of algorithmic composition, but that's transferred to the kind of daily practice of color studies.